In this video, we will discuss about the casting process. So let's get into this video. If you like this video, put a thumbs up and subscribe this channel, and also like and share this video to your friends to gain knowledge. So thank you for watching. Introduction of the molten metal into a molten cavity is called as casting. Upon solidification, metal conforms to the shape of the cavity. This is the diagram showing the casting process. A sand mold is prepared and molten metal is filled into the sand mold and is kept into dry. Hence the cast is produced. Casting. Pouring molten metal into a mold shaped after the part to be produced, allowing it to harden and removing it from the mold, can be used to create complex internal and external part geometries. Can be used with any metal that can be heated to its liquid shape. Can produce very large parts. Cast parts weighing over 100 tons have been made. Some types of casting are suited to mass production. Some casting process can produce parts to net shape.
First of all, on a clean floor, we will set the inverted drag box. Then we will place the pattern inside the box and pour the sand into the box. After that, sand is rammed and leveled off. The packed drag box is then turned over and cope box is placed over it. After that, second half of the pattern is placed exactly over the first half of pattern. Then the sand is filled and rammed tightly. Now two boxes are opened and pattern is removed with the help of screws. Boxes are again put back into position and clamped with rivets to prevent upper box floating. Gates and spruces are formed to pour the metal. Now the molten metal is poured into the mold. Then it is allowed to cool down for some time. After cooling, the final cast is taken out.
Casting terminology. Flask, a metal or wooden frame without fixed top or bottom in which the mold is formed. Depending upon the position of the flask in the molding structure, it is referred to by various names such as drag, lower molding flask, cope, upper molding flask, cheek, intermediate molding flask used in 3-piece molding. Cope, the top half of any part are 2-piece molds. Drag, the bottom half of any part of 2-piece molds. Core, which are inserts made from sand. They are placed in the mold to form hollow regions. Core print, a region used to support the core. Vents, which are placed in molds to carry off gases produced when the molten metal comes into contact with the sand in the molds. Mold cavity, the hollow mold area in which metal solidifies into the part. Riser, risers which supply additional metal to the casting as it shrinks during solidification. Gating system, a gate which is located at the base of the sprue. Molds typically contain a system of gates constructed to minimize turbulence in the molten metal and control flow so that metal is supplied at a rate to adequately supply the critical section thickness of the casting. Gating systems often include passageways called runners. Pouring cup, a pouring basin or a pouring cup into which the molten metal is poured. Sprue, a sprue through which the molten metal flows downwards. Runners, horizontal channels. Parting line or parting surface, It is the interface that separates the cope and rag of a two-part mold. Draft. Taper on a pattern or casting that allows removal from the mold. Core box. Mold or die used to produce cores. Casting. The process and product of solidifying metal in the mold. Requirements of casting. Mold cavity with desired shape and size. Melting process to provide molten metal. Pouring process to introduce the metal into the mold. Solidification process controlled to prevent defects. Ability to remove the casting from the mold. Cleaning, finishing and inspection operations. Steps in making sand castings. The 6 basic steps in making sand castings are pattern making, core making, molding, melting and pouring, and cleaning. Pattern making. Pattern. Replica of the part to be cast and is used to prepare the mold cavity. It is the physical mold of the casting used to make the mold, made of either wood or metal. The mold is made by packaging some readily formed agitated material such as molding sand surrounding the pattern. When the pattern is withdrawn, its imprint provides the mold cavity. This cavity is filled with metal to become the casting. If the casting is to be hollow, additional patterns called cores are used to form these cavities. Core making. Cores are placed into a mold cavity to form the interior surfaces of castings. Thus, the white space is filled with molten metal and eventually becomes the casting. Molding is nothing but the mold preparation activities for receiving molten metal. Molding usually involves preparing the consolidated sand mold around a pattern held within a supporting metal frame, removing the pattern to leave the mold cavity with cores. Mold cavity is the primary cavity. The mold cavity contains the liquid metal and it acts as a negative of the desired product. The mold also contains secondary cavities for pouring and channeling the liquid material into the primary cavity and will act as a reservoir if required. Melting and pouring. The preparation of molten metal for casting is referred to simplify as melting. The molten metal is transferred to the pouring area where the molds are filled. Cleaning involves removal of sand, scale and excess metal from the casting. Burned on sand and scale are removed to improve the surface appearance of the casting. Excess metal in the form of fins, wires, parting line fins and gates is removed. Inspection of the casting for defects and general quality is performed. So this is the short video of casting process. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up button and also subscribe this channel for more videos and share this video to your friends to gain knowledge. So thank you for watching.